It's time now for the Casey Ingram Show on WSTU. The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not necessarily those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time to call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788, 220-WSTU. And now, here's Casey Ingram.
The Casey Ingram Show is sponsored in part by Meridian Marina and Yacht Club in Palm City. Meridian Marina and Yacht Club is located on the banks of the St. Lucie River in Palm City and is the premier marina in Martin County, focusing on excellent customer service so you can enjoy your boating lifestyle. Meridian Marina offers concierge services, yacht club amenities, sales, and service surrounded in a lush tropical setting. Meridian Marina is the largest marina in Martin County on 11 3/4 acres with a 62,000 square foot indoor storage facility that can accommodate up to 300 boats. Meridian Marina is not just a place to store your boat. When you become a member of Meridian Marina and Yacht Club, you can enjoy events such as trips to the Bahamas, snorkeling adventures, marina parties, and more. Check out their events tab at meridianmarina.com. You can also try out their great service department that's open 6 days a week from 8 to 4. And don't forget, they can also take care of all your electronic needs. Call them up at 772-221-8198. 221-8198 or visit them online at meridianmarina.com. At Meridian Marina, we do all the work so you can enjoy your boating lifestyle. The ABC's Alliance for Better Community Schools would like to remind you to vote yes for an appointed superintendent on November 6, 2018. Let's hire a professional, not a politician. Visit voteappointed.com for more information. Well, on the phone this evening, we have a candidate for Attorney General for the state of Florida, and really appreciate you joining us this evening. Ashley Moody, how are you doing?
I am well. Thank you so much for the invitation to be with you tonight. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Ashley. We enjoy, and the listeners certainly will enjoy learning a little bit more about you. So let's start with that. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and why you are running for Attorney General?
Of course. I grew up in Plant City, Florida, which is a small town just outside Tampa. I was raised there, publicly educated, attended the University of Florida. I have a degree in accounting, a master's of accounting and law degree, and a master's of law and international law, which I obtained from Stetson University College of Law. And I started practicing law actually as a business litigator. I thought I was going to be a business litigator until I retired. And I ended up in federal court at one point, and I saw a federal prosecutor in action, and, you know, I decided then and there that I wanted to serve my country. And at the time, President Bush W. was the president, and I applied to be a federal prosecutor, and they hired me, and I moved to Jacksonville and started prosecuting guns, drugs, and fraud cases. I was one of the youngest in my office, but I was one of the leaders in indictments. I was very eager to work to make our community safe. I transferred back to Tampa in that office, and I prosecuted international and domestic drug prosecutions. And then in 2006, I was elected as a circuit court judge in the 13th Judicial Circuit in Hillsborough County. And at the time, I became the youngest judge in the state of Florida.
Wow.
I didn't keep that title long. I lost being the youngest judge, but I served my circuit for over a decade on the circuit court bench in both the trial level and an appellate capacity as a judge. And then in about 7 or 8 years into that tenure, I believe, I started teaching criminal procedure as a law professor and taught the role of Attorney General as part of that course. Never thinking that I would run to be the Attorney General. And my husband and I, my husband is a career law enforcement officer.
Okay.
He was a cop for many years and then became a DEA agent.
Okay.
And we had lots of discussions about what was going on in the world of law enforcement and in our communities, and how it was important to have somebody in the role of the Attorney General as a top prosecutor, the top cop, which is the nickname that we give to the Attorney General. We truly feel, and we are passionate, that that person needs to be somebody that has been in the court system and has worked with law enforcement and has prosecuted cases, especially right now with everything that law enforcement faces
Right.
on a daily basis and the criticisms that they receive about their profession. And I am committed to making sure that I am an attorney general that is a true advocate and a voice for law enforcement so that they have the tools and trainings and resources they need to do their job well. And so my husband is all in and helping me at home. Of course, I am traveling the state, trying to meet as many voters as I can to convince them that we are the best candidate to be the Attorney General. And while he would always be supportive, I am sure he is personally committed and believes in what we are trying to accomplish. And so it has made it that much easier along the way.
Well, Ashley, what an impressive resume you have. And certainly running for office is it's a tough job all in itself. And having a supportive family, of course, is extremely important. I have to ask you, I know you've gotten some pretty big endorsements along the way as well. Can you name a few?
Of course. Attorney General Pam Bondi has already endorsed our campaign. Close to 40 Republican sheriffs across the state of Florida, the statewide police benevolent association, 12 of the 20 state attorneys across the state. Maggie's List, which is a conservative women's group, has already endorsed the campaign. So we've felt very good about the background and the support that we've gotten. Certainly, it is one thing to tell people that you know you can do this job, you can do it well, you can offer results many times on issues that we've had difficulty getting our arms around, but to have others join that team and vouch for your abilities and your dedication, it says a lot. And I've just been really humbled by the support that we've gotten since we started this campaign.
You have, and locally, I believe Senate President Negron had also endorsed you as well.
He did, and I tell you what, he is such a good man, and he has served so well, such a distinguished servant. I was very honored by that, and certainly I'm working diligently to deserve that great honor that he gave me in endorsing me, yes.
It certainly means a lot. Here on the Treasure Coast, we of course think so much of Senate President Negron, and he's done a lot for our area, so his endorsement certainly meant a lot, and we wish you a lot of luck. But let's talk a little bit more about some of the issues that I'm sure that come across as you're out speaking with people.
Of course.
Do you agree with President Trump's plan to build a wall? And what would you do to ensure our borders are secure?
Well, I tell you, it always shocks me that people would not support the leader of our country trying to make our country more secure. You know, it bewilders me. There are countries around this world that protect their country and establish guidelines and boundaries, and they do so for the safety and security of their own citizens. And so it's always a shock to me that people have brushed back at this idea that we would do the same, especially when, you know, I was a federal drug prosecutor. I can tell you there are substances coming across our border in mass quantities that are causing death and harm to our citizens. And it bewilders me that anyone would be opposed to trying to stop that. I mean, we are seeing a rise in human trafficking. Here in Florida, we lose people daily to overdose deaths.
Right.
It will make us a stronger country if we can have better oversight and restrictions on what's coming in and out of our borders. And so I do support that. I support him and his decision to try and strengthen our boundaries, and, you know, I would support him in that effort.
Certainly. The state approved a ballot measure that will appear as Amendment 4 on the ballot here in Florida on November 6th. If passed, it would automatically restore the voting rights of about 1.2 million felons, not including convicted murderers and sex offenders. Are you in favor or oppose Amendment 4?
You know, I am a supporter of ensuring that if people pay their debt to society and they complete sentences on less serious nonviolent felonies, that there should be an easier path to restoring rights. It appears that we have a long backlog of cases that we're trying to get through the system, and certainly whether that means having an automatic process for some of the lesser felonies or whether that's a streamlined process, I would support that. I don't specifically support the amendment. I think the language is too broad. It doesn't allow for a case-by-case review on some very, very serious felonies, including manslaughter, armed robbery, kidnapping. And these are the types of crimes that I believe need to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis before we start trusting certain individuals to, and what we're really talking about is make decisions as to who's going to make our laws, write our laws, and make decisions as to who is found guilty of violating them. These are important responsibilities, and we want to make sure that when we do restore rights, that we're restoring them to people that can take those responsibilities seriously. And while I do support a streamlined process, I'm not convinced that the amendment is not too broad.
Okay, very, very good. Thank you. The opioid crisis is not only a huge crisis in Florida, it's also a national crisis. What would you do as Attorney General to help put an end to this abuse that has caused so much heartache to so many families?
There is not a week that goes by that I do not meet someone who has lost an immediate family member to the opioid epidemic. And I've been talking about this since I started this campaign last summer. As a former federal drug prosecutor and the wife of a DEA agent, there is no better advocate or someone who cares so much about this and wants to use my background and certainly my passion for it to make a difference. One of the things we need to pay particular attention to right now, as we are recognizing that it is an emergency, and our leaders, and we should commend them, President Trump and Governor Scott, have done much to direct resources within their capabilities to try and address this. But what we need to make sure is that when we allocate these resources into our particular communities, into certain programs, that we are doing in a way that's going to be effective, that it's going to be in ways that have been tested and researched, and we show that we see results as a result of every dollar spent. And one of the ways that I would attack this, and many attorney generals across the nation have done this, is they themselves have led a statewide group that brings in experts that addresses ways to deal with this. I believe it's going to be a three-pronged approach. Law enforcement is certainly going to be key, law enforcement and prosecutions of those that are taking advantage of the most vulnerable in our societies, including traffickers and those that are pushing the synthetics like fentanyl and carfentanil. Mm-hmm. That will be one thing we have to focus on, and resources will have to be attributed to that. But no one should be naive to think that we are going to arrest our way out of this situation. It's also going to have to take energy and focus on the rehabilitation component and education. Many students and children have no idea that taking one of these drugs can have such a deadly effect. And the reason many times it's so deadly is because we are seeing some of these traffickers lace drugs with these synthetics that are so deadly.
That's right.
And so it's going to take the right leader with the right vision and the right ability to bring people together. Of course, I have been in the criminal courts, in the state courts. I have also prosecuted in federal courts, balancing those two interests, bringing together the different jurisdictions that oftentimes have to coordinate before they can go after a problem. I always kind of use the example of a lot of energy often goes into coordinating white hats before you ever go after your black hat.
Right.
And people forget that. But oftentimes leading initiatives within complex criminal acts or drug epidemics, it takes coordination and organization and leadership from someone that has been in those ranks. And I am the only one running, whether Democrat or Republican, that has ever prosecuted a case. Within my primary, I'm the only one running that has tried a case to verdict, that has prosecuted a case. And so when people are deciding who they want to see in this role of Attorney General, the first analysis is going to be who agrees with you politically and philosophically, and that is important. And I do not mean to underestimate the importance of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the second part of that analysis is who can do this job? Right after you take the oath, who can move the ball on some of these difficult issues? Opioid epidemic is one of them.
Right.
But Florida faces a rise and escalation and abuse of our seniors, which is only going up as our senior population continues to grow. We are dealing with mental health issues and how they intersect with our court system. And we talked about human trafficking a little bit earlier when I was talking about protecting our borders.
Yes.
I mean, these are issues that are very complicated. And unless you have been in the system and understand the players and understand the different dynamics, you're going to be hard-pressed to make meaningful, substantial strides in solving these issues. And so as I'm going around and meeting voters across the state of Florida, I'm talking about my fundamental beliefs as a conservative, as a Republican. Certainly, I've been a Republican since college, so that's easy for me to talk about those issues. But second, and equally as important, I'm talking about what I can do for them because of my background as a judge, as a federal prosecutor, as a lawyer, as someone who taught this position in law school. And so I find that has been resonating with voters. Certainly that's one of the reasons we've been able to secure the endorsement of Attorney General Pam Bondi, 40 sheriffs across the state of Florida, statewide law enforcement groups, because they believe that in order to successfully tackle these issues, you have to have someone that has been a practitioner in the court system prosecuting crimes and not a politician.
Again,
I'm not.
Yes. I agree. And again, we're speaking with Ashley Moody. She's running for Attorney General and the Republican candidate for the state of Florida. Considerable resume that you bring with you. Another topic I wanted to touch base with you, and it's a two-part question. First, are you pro-life? And secondly, do you believe there are any circumstances where a woman should be allowed to choose abortion?
I am pro-life, and I have, I believe that those that are pro-life and that believe that life begins at conception, that is something that their faith teaches them, their life experience is teaching them. And I can tell you numerous examples over the course of my life and those that as I've talked to people, this is something that is such an important decision. And sometimes I'm always shocked that people think that there shouldn't be restrictions on this, or that people should not be confronted with this decision and what a meaningful, substantial decision this is. And so I am pro-life. I've gone around the state saying that, again, I agree with many of these issues, and I think it's important that people know their candidates and know where they stand.
Certainly.
And I think it's important that we remind people that in these positions we want people that have those same priorities.
Certainly. Ashley, do you believe there should be a restriction or ban on assault-type weapons?
So certainly there are restrictions and should be on weapons that, you pull the trigger and multiple rounds of ammunition are expelled from a firearm. I don't know many people that disagree with that. I believe that to say a ban on all semi-automatic weapons goes too far, and there are legal reasons for that, and I've talked about those in detail all over the state. I believe there are many things that we can do to curtail some of these evil and abhorrent acts that we have seen take place over our nation and state. And certainly I have been daily talking about some of the ideas that I have to secure our schools and make our state safe, including addressing mental health issues and how they intersect with our court system,
right,
and how we can get guns out of the hands of those that are a danger to our communities.
Do you support or oppose sanctuary cities?
I strongly oppose sanctuary cities, and I think to ask anyone who is asking to be in charge of the law enforcement arm of our state to ask whether they would support sanctuary cities and consider that they would have a different answer is just ridiculous. I mean, you are saying that you will enforce the rule of law, and to say that you would condone cities that do not do that, I think should disqualify someone from being the Attorney General.
Well, Ashley Moody, we've learned a lot today. I certainly appreciate you joining the show. Folks can go to electashleymoody.com, your website, for more information. And do you have a Facebook page as well, of course? And
we do have a Facebook page. I believe it's under Vote Ashley Moody. And the website, again, is electashleymoody.com.
Do you have any meet and greets coming up in the area that you would like to let folks know about?
You know, I'm sure that we do, and I would love to communicate the dates and places of those to you, and hopefully you might be able to share those on your website.
Absolutely, I'd be delighted to do that. Ashley Moody is running for Attorney General in the state of Florida on the Republican ticket, and we're just going to be running out of the show here in about a minute. And as we close the show, I just want you to weigh in on your support for law enforcement officers, because I know that's something that's very near and dear to you.
Yeah, when I went to my husband and said, what do you think about me resigning my position as a judge to run to be the Attorney General in the state of Florida, you know, he didn't hesitate, because it is just so important that we stand by the men and women that put their safety on the lines for us every day. And I just want them to know, and I want the citizens to know, that I will be a strong advocate for what they do. I believe they are essential to our rule of law and our stability as peaceful communities and state, and that is the type of Attorney General I will be.
Ashley Moody, Republican for Attorney General, state of Florida. Thank you very much. Appreciate you joining the show today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Good luck.